wherever.
Yeah, okay.
So, to the end. And I'm a smart facilitator in the greater Boston area, and I facilitate with a lot of different facilities as well as some open meetings, so it's going to be kind of a nuanced perspective on how smart is flexible in different types of meeting milieu and different populations. So I wanted to talk today a little bit about where addiction comes from and what might be helpful for facilitators. So the purposes today for me are I want to present some of the current thinking about neuroscience behind addiction and recovery within the context of the biopsychosocial model, which is pretty much the prevailing theoretical model that we look at addiction and recovery in this space. And Nora Volkow, the president, the leader of the National Institute of Drug Abuse, is on board with that. And I'm going to have some packets for people afterwards that have a recent article by her in Scientific American and editorial, and some other documents that are relevant to this talk, if people are interested. Why? Addiction is really complicated, and information can help us think more deeply about the work of recovery, about our work, and also to think about how we can continue to improve our efforts in SMART to help people move beyond addiction. But first, I want to give you a brief example to help us think about what we're dealing with when we're thinking about human brains and human minds. So, everybody sees these two lines. Do they look like they're the same length? They appear to be the same length, right? Okay. And just in case there's people over on the side that you can't really see them, the two parallel lines, they would be skewing in or out if they weren't the same length, right? Now watch this. Now which one appears long? Yeah, the middle one. And you know they're the same length. It's creating a little bit of cognitive dissonance maybe, but one of the interesting things is, even though we know they're the same length now, you can't unsee this. Right? You can't unsee this. And so it's a demonstration of just a little bit about, in addiction, your brain, your physical brain, is messing with your mind. And we're working with people every day who are having huge difficulties in their life, and their brain is telling them to do something, while their mind's telling them not to. So part of this story involves dimensions of the brain. In this presentation, I'm going to try to introduce 4 different brain dimensions that are relevant to our work. Some you may know about, some may be new to you. This isn't a neurophysiology lecture. It's the cartoon version. So the first thing is dopamine. People have probably heard of this. Second is the vagus nerve, the sympathetic nervous system. The third is the default mode network, which is named for something that's been around a long time, but somebody just recently figured out what it was. And fourth is bridge to engineering, come in. And this is about another neural network, but we're going to use it. We're going to talk about it in terms of Star Trek. So this is not all about the brain. I'll tie the brain dimensions in with 2 other very important dimensions: the bio, the psycho, and the social. So today we're going to talk about ancient humans trying to survive. At its core, addiction really is, it's about survival. It's about the part of the brain that's involved in the survival instinct. How 3 notable recovery approaches address these issues, and maybe two suggestions for potential directions in SMART's future. But first, ancient humans trying to survive. Ancient humans, what do they have in their heads that could help us understand modern addiction? Simplified story is dopamine. And what is dopamine? Ancient humans got a rush of dopamine when they found something good to eat or drink, when they found some other source of pleasure or comfort. So the dopamine is like a survival coach. We got something good here once, let's come back and try to do it again later. And another little cartoon version of the dopamine faucet in our midbrain, and our human ancestors, as well as us, have one. Dopamine is a substance in our brain. It plays the key role in survival and learning. It plays a key role in survival and learning, and sex, food, and play, and social interaction all give us a little dose of dopamine. And the dose of dopamine helps us remember what made us feel good so we can find it. The dopamine is not a pleasure molecule. It doesn't just get us high. It's a common misconception. I just recently asked one of my groups this, and I also asked my primary care physician, like, what do you think gets you high with all these different substances that you take? And he actually thought it was the dopamine. But it's not the dopamine. The dopamine is about drive. The high that we get is in anticipation, right? It's about wanting and getting a payoff of some kind. We get a rush of dopamine, a rush of anticipation or motivation towards the pleasure of the substance. And other substances and hormones provide the actual pleasurable feeling, the actual payoff. So dopamine had survival for ancient humans. It helped us remember the various valuable payoffs that helped us survive. Some of the payoffs that drove our prehistoric ancestors. Endorphins, which actually is short for endogenous morphine, internal morphine, the pleasure neuropeptides. Oxytocin, the cuddle molecule. When you hug somebody, you get a little blast of oxytocin, or two of our ancient ancestors sharing a little moment without the cigarettes. Obviously, sex and food drove humans, other things too. For example, there's evidence that gambling has been a human activity for thousands of years. They keep finding, earlier and earlier evidence of gambling. So dopamine gets the brain to remember that it found this payoff feeling and guides the search to find it again in order to survive. So what did survival mean to ancient humans? Well, none of the other stuff matters without safety. If we're not safe, we're tiger bait for ancient humans, right? Comfort and relief. And connection, which they all kind of interplay with each other. So what were basic ancient human needs and modern human needs? So basic modern human needs, like ancient humans, modern humans are used to getting small doses of dopamine from food, sex, and movies, and social life, anything that gives us that payoff. Dopamine is still doing its job, driving us back to safety, comfort, and relief, and connection, just in modern circumstances. Some people think these basic survival needs or goals are driving some new human habits. This is probably the topic of another talk, but something we might consider if we were looking at our iPhones all the time. But for complex reasons, the substances around us today, like heroin and meth and fentanyl, they give us a really big gush of dopamine because the effects of the drugs, they're such refined substances, we get a much bigger gush of dopamine, bigger than we experience with normal rewards. But it's not the dopamine that gives us the pleasure. It's the dopamine that drives us to find the payoff, find that thing again and again. And also, which a thing that's sort of one of the foundational principles of SMART, it's not just substances. People can get addicted to just about anything that gives them a reward. Shopping for clothing or books or art, using your cell phone, watching porn. Whether it's just to be a problem or not, depends on the degree and severity of the consequences. So you can have a lot of money and be buying too much art, and if you're rich, it's not going to have that dire of consequences. But if you're on a fixed income and you're doing the same thing, it's going to be a problem. So dopamine is one crucial part of the bio and the biopsychosocial law. But how does this help us as recovery volunteers? This understanding it can help us support people in recovery to understand how addiction, with a capital A, like all addictions, work, and to tell them a different story about their dysfunctional behavior and how their brain is messing with their mind. And knowledge enhances our compassion and our ability to work with other people's issues. So let's start to connect the bio with the psycho and social. Here's an ancient brain structure that connects the psychological and the social. This is from the work of Stephen Porges, a neuroscientist who's been working on this for decades. And he's had an impact on trauma-informed therapeutic approaches. And his work has implications for our understanding of addiction with a capital A. He discovered, he went all the way back in evolution and discovered parts of the mammalian nervous system that play a special role in helping us feel safe and connected in social life, and why that may play a role in other psychological problems. And it's about the vagus nerve, which is one of the cranial nerves, one of the nerves, the spinal nerves that are closest to your brain inside your skull, and it goes all over the body and connects to just about every organ of your body. And it has many functions that we're not going to get to today, but Porges discovered two special functions that are relevant to us that go back to ancient humans, even to the time of reptiles. So before mammals came along, the nervous system of reptilians was key to two states, their survival states. Life threat, where they freeze, and danger, the fight or flight. And before mammals came along, let's think about, we're going to do it in terms of a traffic signal. Red light means it's a life threat. I might die in a second. So you see a little, this is a YouTube video, but that's a live lizard. It's playing dead because it's afraid of its child. The freeze response is due to the most ancient part of the vagus nerve. We'll call it the old branch of the vagus. Reptiles freeze and play dead, and we do that too. If you're extremely threatened to the point where you think you're going to die in a second, you freeze. And we still have that part of the reptilian brain. The next is the yellow light, sympathetic nervous system, which is danger, fight or flight. We know we have to either get out or try to defend ourselves. So when mammals came along, they inherited the same nervous system and experienced the same two states, life threat and danger. But after a few million years, a new structure appeared, the new branch of the vagus nerve. But only mammals got this one. And when ancient humans came along, they got this one too. So what did this new branch of the vagus nerve help us with? Well, in addition to fight or flight or freeze, it gave us the perception and recognition of safety. And for humans, that's the ability to relax and socialize. And this is Porges' major insight. The new branch of the vagus nerve, they call it the ventral vagus nerve, the front part of the vagus, is what allows mammals to unconsciously size up other mammals and sense whether they're friendly or threatening. Some people call it the friend or foe detector. And it's operating unconsciously all the time. It's happening right now.
That's not a vagus nerve.
So take a look at this guy. Can I relax and connect?
Senses.
Sure. we all look at this, and we can look at this guy's expressions, and we have an idea about what he's feeling or what he's thinking. Or look at this woman. She seems a little irritated, or like she ate something that didn't really agree with her. Right here, she's like, oh, baby. And this is why, when we regular kid, we talk and baby talk, we make really nice faces for them. So, safety. Can I relax and connect? And this part of the vagus nerve reads facial expression and voices and other cues, everything from the kind of the diaphragm up in the body. We're using our tone of voice, we hear the frequency for human speech, our heart rate. So this is what Porges coined this term, neuroception. Sizing the situation for safety, and it's unconscious. It makes it possible for us to connect with others, and it makes complex social life possible. So look at these guys. Imagine you're 3 years old. What's your brain telling you about, unconsciously, about these faces, these kids? This guy looks, he's kind of happy, he's all right. She's maybe a little friendly, but I don't know. That one's kind of weird, and he looks pretty cranky. But we all in this room can look at them. It's not confusing. You can tell their basic emotional state. So some of you may be thinking, yeah, this is interesting, Matt, but what does this traffic light system have to do with this issue? This new branch of the vagus nerve plays a key role in sensing safety and danger in a particular situation when you walk into a room, and it plays a role in chronic anxiety and stress. Porges' work is influential in trauma-focused therapy, helping clients feel safer in working through deeply embedded traumatic memories. And this is informative for us too, because it helps us understand that this is what people may be bringing in with them into our meetings. Because we don't know what people are bringing in. So consider these examples. You're 3 years old, and your new branch of your vagus nerve, the safety detecting branch, it's not fully developed. And you live in a place where your parents constantly call you stupid and worthless, and they fight all the time too. And your home situation leaves you in a state of chronic anxiety. 10 years later, you're in 8th grade, and a friend gives you some opiates, and you feel good. I feel relaxed, chill. Your dopamine faucet goes off. It's like, wow. You're relaxed and connected. Let's find some more of this. Yep. Porges' work tells us that during this person's early life, the constant humiliation actually affects the development of the new branch of the vagus nerve. This leads to chronic anxiety. The brain can't really reliably tell friend from foe. So the drive for comfort and safety and the appeal of opiates may stem from these early neural effects of abuse and neglect. Okay, this makes sense, but the brain and neuroscience are complicated, and this isn't the whole story, right? Is there any psychological research that connects early development with later addiction? And there is a really important study, maybe some of you guys have heard of it. Has anybody heard about the ACEs study?
Of course.
Adverse childhood experiences. Childhood experiences, both positive and negative, have a tremendous impact on future violence, victimization, and perpetration, and lifelong health and opportunity. They've been linked to risky health behaviors, chronic health conditions, low life potential, and early death. And Vince Fleet was the lead researcher on this CDC study. He found that survivors of childhood trauma are many times more likely to attempt suicide or have eating disorders or become IV drug users. So here's a sample ACEs item, and this is, I'm going to have a copy of this in your packet so you can take it yourself. There's just 10 items. Before your 18th birthday, did a parent or other adult in the household often or very often push, grab, slap, or throw something at you, or ever hit you so hard that you had marks or were injured? Or before your 18th birthday, did an adult or a person at least 5 years older ever behave inappropriately toward you in a sexual way? So, you can Google it, but I'm going to give you a copy. This was before I made a copy for you. So it's interesting to look. Here's some results from it, and notice like about a third of the people have zero in this population had 0 ACEs. About a quarter had 1, and then as it increases to the yellow, where there's 4 or more, people get to be more vulnerable to different types of addictive behaviors. So the more ACEs you have, the more likely you are to become an alcoholic. So for people with 4 or more ACEs, about 1 in 6 will experience alcoholism. And what about people with 0? Well, people with 0, about 1 in 30 of them experience alcoholism. So it's a really stark difference. But it's not 0. So there's something else going on too. People who have 0 still have some alcohol. So they're obviously having an impact on people's adult lives in terms of their likelihood of experiencing addiction, but not the whole story. So Fleeting wanted to dig deeper into specific things that have the most impact, and he interviewed a bunch of the subjects to see sort of the nature of the different ACEs and classify them. And he said in the interview, I would have assumed that probably the most destructive problem would be incest, but it was co-equal with the others. Instead, he saw the one with the slight edge was chronic, recurrent humiliation, but returned as emotional abuse, citing examples like parents calling their children stupid and worthless. We can think about, when people come into a meeting and they're feeling vulnerable, and they have ACEs, there's sometimes in different types of recovery settings, there could be not only fear, but people do feel humiliated. So here's the ACEs pyramid. At the bottom, there's the adverse childhood experiences. Next is the disrupted neurodevelopment because of them, which is Porges' thing. And the next one is social, emotional, and cognitive impairment, adaptation of health risk behaviors, and disease, disability, etc. So this developmental trajectory starting from adverse events in childhood connected with Porges' discovery and the development of the new branch of the vagus nerve. And if the development of this nerve is impaired, so is the person's ability to feel safe and connected. I'm always on the lookout. Constant safe vigilance. So these studies show the interaction of the bio, the psycho, and social. Just a modulated version, but and so this perspective leads to an interesting question. Why do some people recover better than others? And can the biopsycho, or why do they even get addicted in the first place? So can the biopsychosocial model help explain this? And we've seen the ACEs study that psychological and social context can worsen addiction. And another study shows that, this other one shows some psychological and social context that also can protect against addiction. This was a study done by the social psychologist Emmy Werner in the island of Kauai. And it was one of the first longitudinal studies. It's a very famous study. The research problem was children who live in poverty while they're suffering from family illness, mental or physical, or have other major disruptions, often don't do well in later years. Yet some children do well regardless, no matter what. So her research question was, what factors support resilience in at-risk children over the first 4 decades of life? So she followed kids, about 700 kids, with a variety of risk factors. They were families and families that were affected by mental illness, addiction, chronic unemployment, and followed it 1, 2, 10, 18, 31, and 40 years. So what were some protective factors in the family? Children who succeeded against the odds had the opportunity to establish early on a close bond with at least one competent, emotionally stable person who was sensitive to their needs. And much of the nurturing came from substitute caregivers such as grandparents, older siblings, aunts, and uncles. And resilient children seem to be especially adept at continuing to recruit such surrogate parents after their early life. So we discovered that the resilient men and women were not passively reacting to the constraints of negative circumstances. Instead, they actively sought out people and opportunities that led to a positive turnaround in their lives. They relied on sources of support in their family and communities that increased their competencies and self-efficacy. So this may relate back to Porges' work too. Early support from an or caregiver who was really there for a child probably supported their normal neurological development, which adds to the ability to find safety and control and connection. So why is this important? Ability to recruit community and social supports was enhanced by early caregiver experience of the child. So resilience was not just a function of being able to weather adversity, but also knowing when to ask for help and from whom. Who's a viable ally? Who can I trust? Think about our group members. And I've asked this in my group before. How many people feel like they have difficulty asking for help? How many people in here feel like they have difficulty asking for help? Yeah. So it's something to think about. Of course, the biopsychosocial model involves much more than just the vagus nerve. Remember that the fight or flight sympathetic nervous system response? Let's say you had a perfectly fine childhood and the new branch of your vagus nerve is fully functional. You're not an anxious person, but now you're stuck in a place that's terrifying and difficult, like Vietnam in 1964, and you're totally stressed. Someone offers you pot and heroin, and the midbrain, your dopamine complex says, great, I feel fine. The returning military are often marginalized or stigmatized if they've experienced addiction. But we can understand that addiction is a response to their internal neurophysiological stress. They're seeking feelings of safety and relief. But imagine that you then return to the States and your family shuns you because of your use of heroin, or you don't have a job, and you're living alone in the room with them. Your use of heroin will continue. You can't seem to stop. So another complex interaction with the bio, the psycho, and the social. So lots of people don't give much significance to the psychological and social factors in a situation like service and foreign wars. This is more, in the past. Instead, they focus on the drug as a powerful influence. And many assume that we just have no control over powerful drugs like heroin. And I'm going to date myself. I remember this when people said, it doesn't matter. If you use drugs like heroin, really powerful chemicals, you're going to get addicted. So in the 50s and 60s, the studies that they used as proof of this, where they put rats in these tiny little cages by themselves and gave them 2 bottles of one of water and one of morphine or cocaine. And so that's how they concluded that heroin was the cause of addiction. And in the 70s, you guys have probably heard of this study, the Rat Park study, really another famous study done by Bruce Alexander, and he challenged this view. And I'm going to show, this is part of a graphic novel about Rat Park. There's a link on your literature sheet in your handouts that you're going to get. In the 70s, Bruce Alexander wondered how much the environment itself was to blame. What if he were locked in a box with no options? And so he built a big park containing room for rats to run around and play and have sex and find food, and it also contains, say, drug dispensers. He compared the rats in the isolated cages with the rats running free in Rat Park, and he found that rats in the isolated cages used the drugs, some to the point of completely just killing themselves, and other ones, in Rat Park, the rats preferred water and food and hardly used the drugs at all. So he wondered if it was relevant to humans. What if the difference between not being addicted and being addicted is the difference between seeing the world as your park and seeing the world as your cage? And Carl Hart, a neuroscientist at Columbia, dug deeper into this with humans who were addicted, and he found that increasing choice and opportunity actually did make a difference, allowing people to step back from the drug and make other decisions. And his book is on the reading list. So what does this all mean? There's a central biological component that many people get stuck on. But as we've seen, we need to think about more than just the biological. Increasingly, people are making connections between psychological and social dimensions of life and the occurrence of addiction. And Maya Solovitz, who's a journalist, and she's written a lot about addiction, she experienced addiction herself. And this is also in your packet. She noticed that it's not just the overprescription of opioids, which is a lot that's being blamed on the epidemic, but it's the degree of social losses we experience. And every 1% increase in unemployment leads to a 4% increase in overdose deaths. Avoidance of fear and pain, and seeking relief from comfort. So takeaways from these research studies, lots of studies over decades showing the long-term impacts of psychological and social factors on addiction and other social ills. So the biopsychosocial model is it's not only just accepted, it's been proven and supported by empirical evidence. We have to think about these things in recovery settings. It's not just about abstinence, and I know we as smart recovery facilitators believe that, but even when we're in the context of a meeting, a lot of times the discussions will sort of center around that, and it's really not the most important thing. So we'll get to agenda item number 2. How do 3 notable recovery approaches address these issues? So what about recovery contexts? How might recovery approaches address the needs triggered by addictions? Let's think about the specifics. How are these needs met in 3 notable approaches to recovery? 12-step, like AA, NA, OA, GA, SCA, SOA. CBT approaches like SMART or LifeBrain, Limited Sobriety, and mindfulness approaches, which sort of kind of blend into different things. But there's some like mindfulness-based relapse prevention and refuge recovery, or more mindfulness-based. So we've seen the complex challenge of the biopsychosocial. They're all totally intertwined. These recovery frameworks may actually be in a position to respond to these complex interactive factors. Let's consider an obvious social feature that runs throughout the research we just looked at. It's also central to our intuitive sense of our own needs. Social connectedness is central to all recovery. And we're called self-management recovery training, but we have meetings, right? It's very important. So there's a power in meetings. These are some ancient humans having a meeting, and our fearless leader, Joe Gerstein, leading, I think it's in Malibu, California, it's leading a smart meeting. So the power of meetings lies in social connection. Shared experience, somebody who's been where I've been, who's been through the same experience, being heard, not just listened to, there's a difference. And self-empowerment by helping others with the same problem. By helping somebody, by noticing that there's evidence that somebody else has been able to do this, that it's possible, and then helping somebody else who's in the same place that you are. It's very powerful, and not alone in this. So how does this key factor get implemented in each recovery framework? Well, they're fairly similar. We all have meetings, right? Sponsors, recovery coaches, peer support, team approaches. And I think it's good to reflect on this. Is it the recovery framework that does this work? This is just something to think about. Or is it the meeting itself? The actual meeting that's doing the work. So imagine you've had a fine childhood and a good adulthood, but your partner dies, and you're 58. You just retired early and moved to a new part of the country before he died. You're alone, you started to drink at night, it makes you feel comfort and relief. Even though it's only temporary. And your dopamine coach, your dopamine takes note, and soon it gets out of control and you need a meeting. So you go to a meeting, you write the premise of the framework, but during the meeting, a lot of older men tell you that you're not doing things right, what you need to do with this, and you don't feel connected. You feel scolded or misunderstood, and you stop going. And this is, I'm not saying this is about AA or SMART or anything, this is just meetings in general. I do a lot of meetings, and I've heard about meetings. How do we make our meetings welcoming environments? People come into our meetings, they have been in chronic fight or flight for years. For psychological or social reasons or both. Or they may have ACEs, have difficulty judging friend or foe. How do we help? And so part of it is our meeting ecosystem. Let's just take a look at compare a 12-step and CBT, so like a SMART meeting, a 12-step meeting, like how does 12-step work? Well, they have no crosstalk. The reason they have no crosstalk is to make people feel safe, so they're not going to be judged, people won't have opinions. In CBT, we account for connection with our open discussion format. That really helps people to hear everybody else's experience. In 12-step, we use fellowship and sponsorship for the connection part. And in SMART, we have facilitators who manage the safety of the discussion if they're going to facilitate. Which is hard to do, but we do it all the time. And both systems can fail or succeed for particular people. So it's another important thing to keep in mind when you go into a meeting. So let's look at a third brain dimension. This is a really interesting one. It was discovered in the early 2000s by a neuroscientist named Mark Reichel. Each of these frameworks, we've all used it. Even though we all have different language for talking about it, and it's called the default mode network. And in fact, it's something that's really important that drives people to get into urges. And so the default mode network is that part of your brain when you're not thinking about anything in particular. Some people call it the blah blah network. So when you're just sitting around, people may be doing it right now. I hope that package arrived. What's for lunch? Jerk better give me a raise. Why don't those docs stop arguing? The default mode network is responsible for helping us keep track of what we did in the past, what we're expecting to happen in the future, our social status in relation to the group, all the self-preferential thinking that we do. It's not being in the moment. And it's not just the blah, blah, blah. Sometimes the default mode network can make our internal state worse. It channels anxious thoughts. You can think if you're anxious or depressed. Am I fitting in? Am I doing the wrong thing again? Do they think I'm weird? Do people recognize this in themselves at all? Some of us get a steady stream of very negative self-talk. I'm a piece of shit, this is all my fault. This always happens, what's the use? Maybe this started early in life, dysfunctional family or whatever, but it persists as a negative fake news channel, real fake news channel. And in our default mode network, when our brain has nothing better to do. And so negative self-talk is such a pervasive problem. People, like I was saying, people with addictions have, these are different names in each of the recovery approaches. So in CBT, we call them ANTs, or automatic negative thoughts, or we call them irrational beliefs, and smart or unhelpful beliefs. Who knows the names for this in AA, or any names? Has anybody got them? Stinking thinking. Also, the itty bitty shitty committee. And stinking thinking. Got it right away. And in mindfulness, there's other names for it, afflicted thoughts that come in that are negative. So which framework does the best job of turning off the thought mode? And mindfulness approaches may have an advantage in this. And when we actively pay attention, so in meditation, when we actively pay attention and focus our mind on an object like a breath or a mantra, or we're in a task positive mode, which takes us away from the default mode network. If you're focusing on something, whether you're playing music or writing a letter or reading a novel, you're in task positive mode. And we're applying the default mode network. And if you think about what meditation is, I mean, we're training our mind, but what are we training it to do? We're training to do it. I'm focusing on this thing. I notice when I'm drifting away from the thing I'm supposed to be focusing on. I bring myself back. I notice when I'm drifting away, and I bring myself back. And what are we drifting away from? The default mode network. So meditation actually trains people to move away from the default mode network. And experienced meditators can actually shut it off. There's a psychiatrist named, addiction psychiatrist named Joseph Brewer, who did a study. And so this graphic is a real-time fMRI. This is a novice meditator. And the red lines are when the default mode network is going off. And the blue lines are when they're turning it off. They're focused. And this is an expert meditator. And so they can basically just turn the thing off. There's hardly any activity in the default mode. And as smart facilitators, we actually use mindfulness-based meditation and other related approaches. But so we're doing this too. We probably do more of it. And Guy, you're going to talk about it later too. Yeah, excellent. And in addition, one of the things I like about SMART is the whole idea of we tell people to pay attention to what we're telling ourselves. That's mindfulness in itself. That's basically what I'm doing. I'm paying attention to that default mode network and being able to control that. But we also have some CBT type tools that we use all the time in SMART. One is disarm. This is a mindfulness exercise. Hank's going to talk about this too, I think. And one disarm strategy is naming your addictive voice. If we objectify it, it loses some of its power. It's easier to recognize. We can talk back to it. So this is just a couple examples. At a recent media line, participant said, my addictive voice is named CJ. CJ? Yeah, CJ, the drunk asshole at the wedding, came up to me when I wasn't drinking and said this to me. One of the things that shows you have discipline and you're a man is that you can control your drinking. You then got drunker, and you don't get arrested. That's the voice of my addiction. And this was at a recovery high school. A 16-year-old woman who had an app name for her. She called it the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland. And I asked her why. And she said, Nothing she says makes any sense, but she's always right. Pretty insightful for a teenager. So SMART has good responses to many of these needs that our ancient brains have. Now here's the fourth thing to mention. This one is difficult to name, so I've given it the name based on the old Star Trek TV series. But in some ways, it's the most crucial part of this. And it's described by Mark Lewis, who's a friend of SMART. He's a neuroscientist who described this in the biology of desire, why addiction is not a disease. It involves connecting two parts of the brain. So the prefrontal cortex, which we're going to call the bridge of the ship, and the striatum, where the dopamine pump is, the engine of motivation for dopamine pump. So let's call that engineering. Dialectic core, or whatever it was. Some of you may remember Captain Picard communicating with engineering. Bridge to engineering, slow to impulse power. And during addiction, the communication lines between these two are lost, they get weaker. And the neural connections get weak and die away and atrophy to the executive center of our brain and the dopamine pump, the motivation core. So as the motivational core in midbrain overpowers the bridge of the ship, addiction maintains its hold. But when desire is ready to arc from the goal of immediate relief to the goal of a valued future, treatment can. Often in addiction, our dopamine pump isn't even driving us to get to the substance anymore because it's such a habit. And getting that, redirecting that desire, the dopamine, to look forward to more long-range goals, which we work on this in SMART. Getting people, what are some short-term steps to get me to my long-term, long-range goals? So to rewire these connections. Actually, what I thought about this too. I just recently, this one was this little anecdote. My nephew was. He's in recovery, he's doing great now, but the last day that he used, he was taking a big wad of bills, putting in his pocket, a bag of dope, and putting a handgun into his belt, and he was telling himself, this is probably a really bad idea. And, but he went and did it anyway. But it's like when those moments of clarity come up, it's important for people to be, really be grabbed and pulled into the window when it happens. So to rewire these connections, we need safety and support and insight from others to help us maintain the vision of our future self, the balanced, happy life, so we can fuel and sustain momentum toward our long-term goals. So now, two little suggestions. First, the reachable moment. And that was coined by, this is a term that Sarah Wakeman, addiction doctor at Mass General Hospital in Boston, uses. And it's not so much the type of intervention, it's timing and availability. When people come into the hospital or into detox or a psych ward or jail, they're at what Dr. Wakeman calls a reachable moment. I call it a window of opportunity, which happens in meetings a lot. Mark Lewis calls it a link to our future selves. 12-step calls it a moment of clarity or spiritual awakening, whatever. SMART's format and philosophy are in a position to facilitate this, to be available when this reachable moment presents itself. And this is just, you don't have to worry about this, but this is just an example. Wakeman's working to put in place systems that will provide support to patients with addictions coming into the hospital so that reachable moment is not squandered. So they come in, as an inpatient. There's a bridge to their outpatient clinic. They meet recovery coaches. It's trying to keep this continuum of care going because what were we doing before? We were completely immersed in their addiction, but then we go into treatment. It's like, oh, what have been in 2 weeks? It's like we got to grab people and immerse them in their recovery. Just like we were immersed in our addiction. So this is the reachable moment in terms of Mark Lewis's work. What will work is whatever is available in the synaptic avenues of desire to make contact with the brain regions responsible for perspective change. You know, when the desire to change, your behavior gets strong enough so that you can be told even. This is another thing that's important about SMART too, is that it's not just about getting sober. And we really can address that more than a lot of other programs in the medical model. If it was just about sobriety, I don't think I would have gotten convinced, because life is hard and you need some way to relax. It's important to there's got to be something that we're doing this for. There's got to be something that we're shooting for in the future. So by getting people sooner when they're in emergency rooms, detoxes, psychiatric units, residential programs, schools, as well as all the community needs, SMART's positioned to be most impactful in limiting this kind of suffering. Now, this is a big. I'm not going to go through this too much, but there's a thing they're doing in Europe now. It's been Finland in the 80s was like having a huge mental health crisis. And so they decided to do something really radical and smart on steroids. It was called the open dialogue approach. And what they do is they get it's sort of like family and friends, all the major players and stakeholders around the person that has a problem. And not just, like clinicians, family members, maybe law enforcement. It's like everybody who's in the person's ecosystem. And they have this ridiculous statistic of 75% remission rate, not from addiction, from schizophrenia, which is a lot harder to treat than even addiction. So, I'm just describing it here a little bit more. No one leads it. It's not an intervention. Everybody at the meeting is at the same level, whether you're a psychiatrist or the person with the addiction problem. It's just humans problem solving. Everyone invested in the other person's success. Just humans problem solving, like we do with SMART. So we do with open meetings, closed meetings, family and friends. Are we doing peer supported open dialogue? So that's what I have. And wherever we leave, that was happening.
Time to just take maybe 1 or 2 questions, if anyone wants. Okay.
Talk about cognitive dissonance for a bit.
Cognitive dissonance. The way I interpret it, and I think, if you think about it in terms of the stages of change, it's contemplation. You have these two equally weighted things that you're trying to decide, and depending on your mood and different, they bounce back and forth and teeter-totter. So that's in terms of addiction, that would be the thing that I think is closest. But we don't talk about it that much. I'm glad you brought that up.
I just had a quick question about the adult children experience, or the ACEs study, the child experiences. Was there any part of that study that addressed early exposure to chemicals or substances?
I missed the first part of it.
Was there did that study address
Oh, yes. Yeah.
early exposure to substance abuse?
In fact, the reference I have on this handout is actually a paper that he wrote about addiction. related to this, about the occurrence of addiction.
So,
We talked about how the early childhood trauma inhibits the development of the branch of the brain. Is there anything that can improve that later in life, or once that damage is done, you have that problem the rest of your life?
That's what Porges does in his trauma-focused therapy. He actually works on behaviors that enhance that part of the brain. We don't know specifically how it helps, but it helps a lot of people who have that type of trauma. And sometimes the type of therapy that we get is actually the opposite of what we're supposed to be getting to do that, which is one of the great things about his work. I encourage people to Google him and look him up on the web.
Yeah, man. As you know, we established a family and friends meeting at McLean Hospital, Belmont, that meets at the same time as our Smart Recovery meeting in the next room. And we found something very interesting there. We found a synergy. I think a very clear synergy between those two meetings. About half the people in each meeting have a significant other in another meeting. They come together, they lead together. And we all had the feeling that this wasn't intentional, it was just a coverage issue. So it was easier for us to get facilitators to cover the situation. Now they've copied it in Connecticut. And I'm wondering if the next step is, as you point out, would be a combined meeting. This is what they do in Italy. They have a secular program. Italy is it's a different social system than we have here. When you get married in Italy, you move in with your in-laws. And you stay there until at least the first child comes. And the whole family attends, and it's more or less like this open meeting. So I wonder if that might be the next step to start recovery.
That's why I brought that. That's why I put the thing about.
We often, on smart meeting management, we often have a question, well, a mother or a father or a wife shows up at the smart recovery meeting where there's no family friendly. Should we let them into the meeting? Should we not? You know, we leave it up to the facilitator and the group what to do. But it may be a forerunner of what you would do.
Yeah, and people come in, people bring support systems into the meeting with them, so that we do that at regular smart meetings. I mean, at least it happens in mine a lot. There'll be loved ones come in, or loved ones will come to the smart meeting to learn about smart, so they can eventually bring their loved one in.